This is some honey I had from some honeycomb and honey from some hives that didn't make it last year. I put it into the freezer and I knew that there'd be insects that wanted this spring or summer. Usually I get it out a little earlier, but I got it out late this year, but it doesn't matter. It's a good source of food for bees and wasps, and as you can see, a bunch of ants are taking a shot at eating it. You can see them, they'll climb down right around the bottom on the sides. They'll lick it right off the top. You know, these ants communicate with chemicals. Sure enough, you'll see a bunch of ants running back and forth on the wood, taking their honey back home. Kind of neat. Better than just throwing it out. Now, honey lasts a long time. I could have scooped the wax out or separated it. As you can see on the bottom, in this one there's still a lot of honey, but I've got so much honey from bees I'll never eat it all. This was kind of dark. I think it's fun watching them run around there and get something to eat. You can see them all around the edges. They climb down just far enough. Having a hell of a good time today. This is a windfall for them. They can feed their babies. Good energy. The fly trying to get a little bit. That's alright. There's some interesting books about ants. There's a guy named Edward Wilson. He's from Alabama. He's a Harvard professor. He's retired now. He may not even be alive anymore. He's written a lot of books on ants. Really fascinating. I'm telling you, and you'll confirm this if you Google it, insects rule the world. They really do. I've got them all running around the edge. I've had ant farms before, but I always kind of felt bad for them, having them locked up in there in that plastic case. And not only that, but I think it's a USDA requirement, or the Department of Agriculture. When you get ants in the mail that come with an ant farm, they're all males. No females, so no eggs. And that's kind of, I guess, not right. Just have a bunch of males in there, so they can't produce offspring. And of course, they eventually all die. Stupid, really. So I don't have an ant farm anymore because of that. I have had them where I've had a female of, indigenous ants around here, and they do pretty good, but even a damn ant should be out doing whatever he wants, not inside a plastic display case. It's the same thing with beehives. The beehives, like the Langstroth hive, the typical hive you see where they depict in movies and magazines, that's the worst thing you could put bees in. A bee would never set himself up like that in the wild. It's drafty, it's cold, it's poorly insulated. Sucks. That's why so many of them die in the winter. I insulated mine and they still died. Part of the reason for, I think, the peril of the bees is just mankind's exploitation of them. If you look at like pickles, watermelons, apples, you'll see where they always have beehives, and they talk about pollination and how we couldn't exist without pollination. That's bullshit. That's for commercial pollination. Pollination happens a lot of ways, by other insects, by the wind, etc. But when you're trying to pollinate 1,000 acres of watermelon, there's no way that's going to happen naturally. So, honeybees weren't even over here to 1940, and they did fine. But by that time, they weren't, trying to have mega farmers produce mega crops. So when you hear Ben and Jerry's complain about not having enough almonds, don't believe it, it's a crock of shit. Actually, almonds are probably one of the crops where the bees get the most exploited. I know people from Michigan that take 200-300 hives out there for the pollination of almonds, and then basically just truck them home in an unprotected beehive on the way home and hope that they make it, and if they don't, that's okay. I'm telling you, bees commercially are treated very poorly. Don't believe that bullshit about the bees are all dying. They're all dying when you wear them out by driving them between countries. Blueberries in Massachusetts and almonds in California. They get tired too. And like I said, the hives that are set up where you extract honey, it's bullshit. It's the worst thing you can do.